are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 408, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
Good. Do we play music? I never know anymore.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. I can't hear it, but I can't hear it. The Knicks can't play basketball. We're all good.
Thanks, Mark.
The Knicks played 3 games this week. It
felt like
lost.
7.
It felt like a lifetime. They lost to the Bulls in overtime. They lost to the Timberwolves and they lost to the Pelicans in overtime. Did the Knicks play another game this week, or am I losing my mind? It's just 3 games, right?
They played Dallas while we were recording.
Okay, and they won that game. So
Yeah.
let's not talk about the good times.
So if you're doing the math, they lost 10 out of their last 12 games.
If you're doing the math, then you probably have already put a gun to your head. Let me ask you, Jay. So, what was the point of this season? I guess we going into the season.
I like how you're talking in the past tense already.
What was the point of this goddamn season?
I mean, the season started like a week and a half earlier, and the Knicks mid-season meltdown started a week and a half earlier.
No, I feel like last year was over by January 1st. This is well into January.
Yeah, the downfall started December 22nd.
Oh, yeah. So I felt like going into the season, the point wasn't. I know people were at the point of tanking, but the big point of the season was player development.
Yeah,
would that be fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. We were saying you play the young guys. If you make the playoffs, awesome. If you don't, at least you gave the young guys some run.
Do you think the Knicks, namely Hornacek, Horty, whatever, has sacrificed a little bit of player development in the name of trying to get wins to save his job?
In the name of whatever the hell this is.
Whatever the hell this is, has he been? I don't know. Like, you feel like I feel like a lot of veterans are getting minutes, and maybe the young guys aren't getting the minutes as much as you'd like, and it's become all about trying to get wins, which would make sense maybe a month ago. But it seems like at this point in the season, I don't know. Do you care as much about wins? Do you care more about wins, or do you care more about player development?
Well, I mean, 3 out of their last 5 games were overtime. If a couple of buckets go the other way, they won 4 out of their last 5 games.
Yeah, and if you could beat the Bulls, you'd have 3 more victories and 3 less losses. A lot of things would be great if they were happening.
Right. If the Knicks were scoring more points than their opponent, they'd have a lot more wins.
If KP could be good at basketball like he was in the first 10 games of the season, that would be great. If Ntilikina couldn't be, so I figured it out, by the way. If you want to know what happened with Ntilikina,
okay,
so it's a very dirty thing the other team's been doing with Ntilikina. I don't know if you know this. Do you know? Have you seen a dog with an electric fence?
Yeah.
And the dog wants to run out, but he can't.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of teams are putting an electric fence on the 3-point line, and so every time Ntilikina tries to penetrate, he has to pass the ball.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not
yeah,
nice
it's not
at
nice at all. That's the only explanation for his lack of penetration I can come up with.
So we have a lot. I have a list of things that I want to go over. First, player development. Lance Thomas against the Timberwolves played 29 minutes. That's a lot for a 29-year-old Lance Thomas. Also, he took 1 shot and scored 0 points.
Wait, because he did in the Bulls game, he played 13 minutes and shot 1 shot and scored 0 points. Would his production be worse or better in the Bulls game versus the Minnesota game?
It's infinite, right? Like 0 is just extrapolated over the course. If he played 2,000 minutes, he would still have 0.
Still the same amount of production, yeah.
Yeah. His defense is not good enough to justify his lack of offense.
Yeah, someone said in a posting toast and comment section, they were talking about the Knicks team when they were the championship teams when they won the 17-73. They said how the Knicks always made a point of having 5 shooters on the floor, at least for the starters. And a guy like Thomas would be a guy that came off the bench as a disruptor, but wouldn't be a star. You don't want that kind of guy starting for you, basically, because he didn't deliver enough as a starter.
Right.
I like some of what Lance Thomas does, but they don't seem to have any clue how to get him the ball when he's. I mean, I wouldn't mind him shooting 3 to 4 3-pointers a game. That'd be fair. No, I think Lance Thomas. I wouldn't mind him shooting 3 or 4 3-pointers a game from the corners.
I don't want him playing.
The thing is, I like some of the energy he brings on defense.
Yeah.
The team
I'm over it.
is the issue, the overall issue, that we just have a lack of talent. That whatever we want to say about Hornacek's lineups, whatever you want to say about KP, I guess whatever you want to say about this team, the team just does not have the talent to really compete unless KP plays like an all-star.
Yeah, but we don't need Jack playing 35 minutes a game and Frank playing 16. Like, it was all right. We weren't really complaining when it was 24 and 24. Split the minutes evenly, fine. We don't need Jack playing 3/4 of the minutes of the game.
Why? Jarrett Jack is 19 years old. He's our future.
I mean, yeah, Jack is putting up better numbers than Frank, but who cares?
Yeah, I kind of go with who cares to a certain extent. Like, it's not worth. That's the big thing to me. It's not worth giving Jarrett Jack all these minutes because what is it? Where does it go to us? Where's this going? Are we going to go, okay, Jarrett Jack at age 32 is our future. We're going to sign him to a 5-year deal now?
Right.
The problem is Ntilikina has been looking like, if you're the coach, you're like, I want to win games. Ntilikina has not been looking very good.
No, he hasn't. But on the other hand, he doesn't come in and, until like 3 minutes left in the quarter. He plays like a minute and then gets pulled again.
That kills him. Is there any way to force him to like penetrate more? The one thing I think that hurts him really, first of all, that whole like pass to the center at the top of the key thing just drives me insane. And I feel like a lot of times he just does that by default. But you see Jack doing that also, so it's just the thing the Knicks do.
Right.
Stop doing that. Or do it once in a blue moon, because like the other teams see that coming every time. Actually, did you notice in the Bulls game, the Bulls did that a little bit also?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, another team does this.
After the Bulls game, I was like, I would trade Porzingis for Markkanen straight up right now.
Okay, so I watched the entire Bull game, but I watched it on DVR. I'm about to turn on the Bulls game to watch it on DVR after my kids have gone to sleep, and I get a text from Jay that says, I would trade KP for Markkanen. And I said, God damn it, I don't even want to watch this game now.
I mean, 8 threes. Come on.
And it was also like the best also with the game. I was gonna watch the. So I got the text from you, but I was watching. I'm like, maybe the Knicks still pull this out. And then I get a text from my uncle that says, "Did you watch the game tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, Knicks must have pulled this off." Like my uncle wouldn't just text me to tell them they lost. And I don't know why he texted me to tell them they lost. I don't get that many texts from him in the first place, and he texted me to tell them they lost. Yeah, so they have a bunch of guys in this team that. So Jarrett Jack, we agree. Give the minute, give a lot. What kind of breakdown do you want to see? I want to see Ntilikina getting at least 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, like I said, when it was split evenly, 24-24, I thought that was totally fine.
And I made this comment on Twitter, and I'm only half kidding, but maybe like I am not. Like you know how you have a swear jar?
Mm-hmm.
I think every time Ntilikina gives the ball up prior to getting past the 3-point line, he has to put like $100 in this swear jar. Just make a real point about this. Like, dude, you have to get across the 3-point line before you pass the ball.
Right.
Obviously, like we can say, well, if there's a fast break or something we'll give you that. But 99% of the time, it's not that. You're giving the ball up way too easy and just saying, I'm not running this offense. See you guys later. And the other thing I feel like is they don't send like in the Minnesota game, Ntilikina came in the game. The first play he was on, they set a pick for him, and like he penetrated and made a nice pass. Then the next play, he came up the floor. They set a pick for him. He drove to the basket and scored. And I was like, oh, maybe he's going to do some things different here. And then he stopped doing it. He didn't penetrate again the rest of the game.
He got it out of the system.
He's got it out. The thing is, I've seen Ntilikina penetrate and go to the basket. I know it's possible. It's there somewhere. It's like a young Clark Kent. I know he could be Superman.
Well, he's young.
He's young. Beasley.
Beasley.
What do we?
Okay. He plays 26, 25, 23 minutes, gets 18, 20, 20. Then he plays 39 minutes and gets 26. And then inexplicably, he plays 16 minutes and 9 minutes.
I don't.
And when he played 16 minutes, he shot 6 for 8 and had 13 points.
So I watched all of the Minnesota and the Bulls game, but today we were busy and I did not get to see the Pelicans game. Why did he only play 9 minutes today?
I don't know. Also, I heard Clyde and Mike Breen saying that the ball doesn't move when Beasley's on the floor. He's averaging a full assist more than Porzingis.
It does get stopped. It does stop when he gets the ball. I mean, you agree that I know he's averaging Porzingis is just as bad with the ball not moving either.
Worse.
I feel like Beasley, of all the guys on the team, can justify some ISO because of how well he plays on offense.
Well,
His level of play right now is a better Melo than we were getting last year from Melo.
Okay, not counting the 9-minute game. He shot 54%, 57%, 72%, 45%, and 75%. Porzingis in his last 15 games shot above 40% 4 times in 15 games and above 50% once.
Above 40% is only 4 times?
Out of 15 games.
Oh my God. I have to feel like, so what I want Beasley, his role in my mind for this team is he is KP's backup. You give KP 34, 35 minutes a game. When KP's not on the floor, Beasley's on the floor, and the offense runs through him.
That's 14 minutes a game for Beasley.
Right, and then I would do some combo minutes where like it's KP Beasley, but no center. Then you can't. The lineups when they have they did in the Minnesota game. It was KP Beasley, and you had Cantor on the floor or Kyle Quinn on the floor. You can't go that big. I know Mike Woodson would love the big lineups, but it's too much. It does not work for on the defensive standpoint, and also. It is kind of tough having both Beasley and KP on the floor when they both want to go ISO.
Well, did you see the Chicago game where Porzingis just outright pouted when he didn't get the ball?
I saw that replay, yeah.
That was really bad.
In fairness, he made some good plays on defense. I guess they had a practice in between the Bulls game and the Minnesota game, and they won over a lot of this stuff, and they tried to like find a way. First of all, I think that's why Ntilikina initially was penetrating more because they made a big point about that in the practice. And they made it. And KP had a whole thing he said about how like if I'm not scoring, I got to do more on defense. And in the beginning of the Minnesota game, KP was pretty awesome on defense. It kind of just fell off, but like he was like a difference maker on defense for that beginning of that game.
Yeah, well, even in today's Pelicans game, he had 5 steals and 2 blocks. So he's trying on defense, but he can't be pouting if he's not getting the ball.
He's got it. I feel like the posting up has to just stop. Like I know everyone's talking about mismatches. It's not working well for KP. His percentage, I don't know what his shooting percentage on posting up is. I imagine it's around the mid-30s. It's not working out with him posting up. Early in the season when he was on fire, it was working fine. We need to get him the ball in different ways, on pick and roll, other things. It's not working this way. I have to say one thing, the Pelicans game, the Knicks shot like 30-something threes. What I've been asking them to do forever.
Yeah. I mean, Hardaway was way off, but he's probably just rusty coming back from injury.
Yeah.
But he still got 25 points and 17 shots, so that's good.
Yeah, he got to the free throw line a bunch.
Yeah, 10 times.
I can't believe how happy I am that Hardaway is back.
Yeah, he'll be in the starting lineup by next game, so we won't have any more Thomas starting lineups, but Thomas can't be playing 25 minutes.
Yeah, I have to say, the thing is we have a lot of guys in this team that aren't that talented that would barely have a role on another team. Lance Thomas, at best, would be a 10-minute guy off the bench on a team for defensive purposes. Doug McDermott, whatever you want to say, he hasn't been very good.
No, there's a reason he was barely in the league right now.
One of the things I've noticed about the team, okay, so everyone passes up shots. They overpass at times because no one wants to take the shot. Have you noticed that?
Sometimes it's either like iso ball or hot potato.
Yeah. Like there's sometimes where like a guy gets the ball open three and he's like, I'll pass it again. The other guy gets the open three, he's like, I'll pass it again. Then the other guy gets it and he takes 2 steps in or like drives to the basket. No one wants to be assertive. And part of the problem is guys like Doug McDermott, Lance Thomas, even Courtney Lee are used to being at best role players where they don't want to make a lot of noise, don't want to take away from the star players. They want to keep their role playing thing going, and that involves moving the ball and not trying to be a ball hog, and they overdo it basically by almost being like, you need Courtney Lee to shoot more, and they've kind of convinced him to shoot more. You need Lance Thomas. If he's open, shoot the goddamn ball. If Doug McDermott's open, shoot the goddamn ball. If you're open, shoot the ball. I almost feel like they need a little bit of like 7 seconds or less Mike D'Antoni offense here. Like get a shot off in the first 10 to 12 seconds of the shot clock. Stop waiting for like the last 5 to 10 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah.
Stop trying to develop a play. Just shoot. I mean, Markkanen was insane on the Knicks. And can you run a guy off the goddamn 3-point line?
And he missed a few at the end. I mean,
yeah.
Markkanen easily could have hit 10 threes.
I mean, how hard is this to say? He's hitting threes. Do not let him shoot threes. You stay with him. You basically you stay close enough that you're married in Utah, like just that close to him all game. Don't let him be open.
I got to say, I was wrong about Markkanen. But so was pretty much everyone on the planet.
Everyone said that trade was terrible. We destroyed them for it. And like that trade looks pretty even.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Minnesota needed, a veteran, Jimmy Butler. He's working out there. Chicago needs some pieces. And Dunn is looking pretty good also. Levine hasn't been back yet.
He just came back.
Oh, he just came back. And
yeah.
Markkanen is looking like potential star.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trade is working out well for both teams. Most of these offseason trades they've worked out for both teams or they've worked out more so in favor of the team you didn't expect.
Yeah. I mean, Oladipo is a borderline all-star right now.
Yeah. It makes you wonder also, like, what the other teams... Like, I understand him not... Maybe... It makes you wonder how he did not thrive in Orlando or in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, he was okay. Like, Orlando did... Like, he's looking great for Indiana.
Sometimes it's about the fit.
Yeah. But that trade's working out well. The Melo trade, at best, is even. More likely, we give the Knicks the advantage on it. Or at worst, it's even. What else? What were the other big trades? Paul George, Paul George, you'd have to say at worst it's even. More so, it might be Indiana on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, none of these trades. The Chris Paul trade is the one I would say that probably has worked out much better for Houston.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only one that played out as expected.
Yeah, yeah. What else was on your agenda? Was your agenda one word? Development?
No. Trey Burke getting signed in place of Sessions.
Will he play?
It's so hard to tell with this team. This team is so random. I mean, if he's taking Sessions' spot, technically, Sessions' spot is not playing.
Sessions' spot is getting paid to watch the games really close up.
Yeah.
So this is an example of it would be insane not to play him. This is player development. Look, forget everything else. The Knicks are 19-24. We're in mid-January. The season is not going to turn around very much from here. Player development from here. Cut Jack's minutes. Cut Lance Thomas minutes. Play the young guys. Dotson should get in the lineup. Trey Burke, see what you got there. I mean, he was in the NBA for a little while. He was inefficient, terrible on defense. Guys can turn it around. At least give him a shot.
The only issue is he doesn't seem to have a good 3-point shot, which
I thought he was shooting well in Westchester.
He's shooting well in Westchester, but not his NBA career.
Well, yeah, but they have the same 3-point line in Westchester. It's not like in Westchester he's shooting from 10 feet out. It's the same 3-point line. Maybe you get better. Guys get better at this stuff.
Hopefully.
Yeah, give him a shot. I mean, it's not like we have anything else going for us. I mean, as much as you say everyone's like, oh, it's D League or G League, whatever. Like, oh, if he's in the G League, he must suck. Like, guys come from the G League and end up being pretty decent. Like, Hassan Whiteside was in the G League, got a $100 million contract. You can go to the G League and actually be good.
Actually, you know what? It was a small sample size last year, but in Washington he shot 44% from three. So maybe he worked on a shot.
Yeah, maybe he shot worked on a shot. He shot 44% from last year in Washington.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he played 57 games. He averaged 1.2 a game. So that's,
I mean,
60 something attempts. It's not nothing.
His defense was awful, and that's one of the issues with him. But the Knicks, the entire team's defense is horrible at this point. Like they play terrible defense. He wouldn't fit in. If Jarrett Jack can guard anyone.
I mean, the worst case scenario, the Knicks just got younger again, so that's a plus.
The worst case scenario, the Knicks lose a game in a different way. Like it's just gonna lose anyway. Like I have to say, like work out the center thing by the All-Star break. Trade one of these centers. Figure it out.
Yeah, I think
guess
that's a good idea. I mean, we're stuck with Noah, but I would say, yeah, Willie or O'Quinn, you probably got to trade.
But I would say, I guess, like McDermott, if you think there's a glimmer of hope, he's 25 years old, then if you think there's a glimmer of hope there, cut Lance Thomas minutes entirely and just give Doug McDermott a shot to kick those minutes and see if he can look better. I don't have a lot of faith in Doug McDermott at this point. I still go with, if I'm going to say McDermott, Beasley, Kyle O'Quinn, I bring back Beasley because at least like you could run the offense through him on the second unit.
I mean, I would rather see McDermott play over Thomas. Just I want to see the young guys play.
Yeah,
if you're 25 or under, you should be getting minutes.
Yeah, exactly. There should be an age. We should have ageism. Like I want an age lawsuit against the Knicks at the end of the season.
Right. Except for Beasley, who is the only other. I mean, we only have three guys who can score a ton: Hardaway, Porzingis, and Beasley. And if Porzingis is going to be inefficient, you got to have Beasley out there.
I don't know. Beasley, he's 29 years old. He just turned 29.
Yeah.
He still is off. He looks so good enough in offense. He looks like a guy that you could that if everything worked out perfectly, you could pencil him in as a 20-minute a game guy off the bench and be your energizer, like a Jamal Crawford type player. Who could be like a legitimately very good sixth man.
Yeah, I mean, he's better on defense than Crawford, and Crawford's been in the league for like 20 years now. So
you almost forget Crawford was a Knick, by the way. Like I was watching Crawford, and I was like, man, why can't the Knicks ever get a guy like that? Oh,
right.
He's on the Knicks.
I say that all the time. Man, why can't the Knicks get a guy like Ariza? Man, why can't the Knicks get a guy like Fry?
Just get a Zach Randolph. Why can't we get a Zach Randolph? Cantor, like you heard, Cantor was just like, I don't really understand my minutes anymore.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
he got 36 today.
He got big minutes today. Here's the thing: you trade Kyle O'Quinn, and if Cantor, God forbid, opts out, I'll live with that. It's fine. Like we'll figure.
It's not like O'Quinn. I like him. He's a good player, but he's not a difference maker. He's not a guy where we should be making plans around him.
You know what's weird though? If you look on, and I don't, so Basketball Reference, they have like the, or just stats in general. I'm looking at Basketball Reference for this, but they have like the your offensive and defensive rating.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna tell you, I don't understand. Do you believe in the stat, offensive and defensive rating?
No.
So maybe there's no point even telling you this. But they have like offensive rating and defensive rating, and you see the two, and that the difference between them is like your plus minus on the court, basically, in some theory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Kyle O'Quinn is a 117 offensive rating and a 102 this season defense. So he's like a plus 15 on the court, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enes Kanter, and this is also why I don't believe in the stat, because this doesn't make any sense to me. So Kanter is a 122 on offense and a 106 on defense. So he's a plus 16. And most of the game has Kanter or O'Quinn out there. So we should be winning games by a lot more points, right, since they're both major positives. On the other hand, if you look up our franchise, Porzingis, and our caller's coming in a second, but if you look up our franchise, he is a 105 offense and 106 defense. I don't really know how that works. But
I feel like Porzingis is better than both of them on defense.
Yes and no. Yeah, he is. So around the rim, he is better than them on defense. Away from the rim, I guess they're all pretty god-awful away from the rim.
Yeah, but they have the same defensive rating. I don't know. That's why I don't like this stuff.
Yeah, that rating, it doesn't make sense to me how like those guys couldn't have the... based on those stats, you would just not play Porzingis and we'd win games because we have Kyle Quinn and Enes Kanter on the floor, which is not true.
Yeah.
But it was just like a weird. I saw that and I was like, "What the hell?" I don't know even what to make of that. We have a caller. Do you want to?
Yeah. Let's take a break and go to our call. All right, we are back.
That was our best 10-minute segment yet.
It felt like no time at all.
I feel like we just got stood up. Oh well. We have our first no show. It happens. The person that was calling from a different time zone, and it was in the middle of the night for him. So, if he fell asleep, is what it is. And maybe he saw today's Knicks game and just said he's done with the Knicks. I understand that also.
That was actually our third straight person trying to call us at 3 a.m. So I'm amazed that 2 out of 3 actually got through, because I wouldn't stay up to 3 a.m. to talk to us. But we're flattered. We appreciate it that people even want to do that.
Yeah, that person was going to give us some insights about Frank, but maybe he's given up on Frank too.
So before we get back into it, let's just do all the plugging and stuff to get it out of the way. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com is our email. We are NY Knicks Podcast on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon. If you want to donate money to the show, help support us in case we have another computer meltdown, Patreon is the way to go.
Have we gotten some Patrons recently?
Yes, we have. So thank you for everyone who is subscribed. One person even up to subscription.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it. Also, if you guys want pens, email me. I'll send you guys pens for being a Patreon.
If you guys want pens, I'll be shocked.
iTunes reviews and subscriptions. Even if you don't listen to the show through iTunes, subscribing and leaving a review helps us. We are currently 37th in professional sports podcasts on iTunes and in the What's Hot section, and the front page shows the top 30. So we're almost there.
Make professional sports podcasts great again by getting us in the top 5.
And Almighty Baller is in the top 15. So they are on the front page. Almighty Baller is part of the podcast network we're in. There is a show for every team. There is shows for the draft. There are tons and tons of good shows. So check out Almighty Baller Network.
If you like an NBA team, I bet there's a podcast about it in the Almighty Baller Network.
Yes.
Yes. Going back to the Knicks. Yeah, I guess we can go to questions in a second. I mean, Ron Baker, should he play anymore? Forget about Ron Baker. Who cares about Ron Baker? Here's I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Unless you want to come on the show, then we love Ron Baker.
It doesn't, whatever he plays, he doesn't play. He's barely in the league. The Knicks have a lot of guys that are barely in the league. Timmy Hardaway looks like a guy we should that could develop and be a really good player for us. The big issue here, the looming giant issue, is KP. The first 10 games of the year or so, KP was playing on another level. We thought we had finally we finally had gotten through the Shawshank of going through all the trudge, and we finally got the freedom, and we're all excited for the promised land. And now he's not playing. Now he's back down to earth. What's the deal with KP? Do you think, is he a guy that really lead us? Is he maybe just a piece that we had that's going to help us, but he's not necessarily the guy that's going to lead us himself?
I mean, let's not forget he's still only 22.
I know. Yeah, the thing is he's 22, but I want to know right now what he's going to be.
The attitude thing is what worries me. Him pouting like that really got me thinking oh crap, what's going on here?
But in fairness, there's a play right afterwards. We played hard in defense.
Yeah, but then on offense, as soon as he got the ball, he jacked up a horrible shot.
His shot selection is horrible. It is goddamn horrible. People are saying he's been playing bad because he was missing Timmy. I think he's just playing bad because he was playing bad.
Yeah.
If anything, what's really been hurting him is the lack of point guard play. That's been doing him no favors. I feel like the Knicks need to kind of study his play and kind of figure out better ways to use him.
If only they had a guy responsible for doing that.
You mean if they had a staff of people who were responsible for making the Knicks play better?
Right.
If there was anyone who could say, I don't know, lead him in the right direction, coach him in the right direction, if you would.
If only. If only.
If only. But yes, I do think. I don't know. It's just hard to say from here. Like, do you think he'll ever be like the first 10 games of the year? Will he ever reach that level for a season?
I mean, he's like I said, he's only 22. I mean, we could be laughing about this 3 years from now
Right.
when he's on another team.
Oh God, if he's on another team doing that, that will really be end the show if he goes to another team and ends up being really good on another team. Yeah, in some ways I feel like, but let's just say like you put him on like San Antonio. Do you think he'd become immediately an all-star?
Probably.
Like, how much better would be in the right offense? Could he be like just that? Like, is it just like the pieces here just don't fit as well as they should for him? Is there anything about him?
Yeah, I mean, the pieces aren't good on this team.
I mean, how many guys? Let's go through this team. How many guys would play competitive minutes? How many guys would start? Let's just say the first one. How many guys would start for another playoff team? KP. You don't tell me what team.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can start for a playoff team. Lance Thomas, no. Cantor,
Yeah.
yeah. Jarrett Jack, no. Jarrett Jack, arguably 30th best point guard in the league.
Arguably, he might be lower.
Courtney Lee,
Yeah,
he could start. Okay.
he has.
Michael-
I mean, he started for that Orlando team that made it to the finals.
Yeah, he was starting for Memphis. Beasley,
Probably not.
Hardaway, maybe.
Maybe.
Doug McDermott, Quinn, Ntilikina.
I think you just say no
Noah,
from there on out.
Yeah. So 4 guys in this team might be able to start for another playoff team. And you said expand the list and just said like play major minutes for a playoff team. You could add no one. You could add almost no one to that list.
No, it's pretty much the same list.
I mean, maybe you would say Jack could play backup point guard for someone.
Maybe O'Quinn could play like 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lack of serious talent on this team, and a lot of like, you have a lot of guys on the cusp that were like, in a few years they could be really good, but they're not there yet. Like obviously KP, a few years from now, like some more seasoning, he could be a very good player, or maybe be an all-star. He's not an all-star yet. You feel like Timmy Hardaway, he's this is the first year where he was going to be like the starter and like a major player on his team. And you feel like Hardaway could in a couple of years be a really good player, right? Maybe an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
And Ntilikina, the argument being that like he could come out of the shell and be a lot better in a few years. But also beyond that, you have no one else that you would even say that about.
Right.
Cantor, he is what he is, and no one else is really going to get better on this roster.
This is why I'm saying we need another really good draft pick.
Yeah, I mean,
we need Doncic.
I mean, the thing is, they're not tanking at this point. And from 19 wins, you're not going to get the top 5 pick. Like, they're not going to lose the next 41 games. I mean, they might, based on how they're playing. They might.
No, but I mean, the bad teams in the league, there's only 1 or 2 that look like complete crap. Like, even the bad teams this year are winning some games.
Let's just say the Knicks get the third. Like, they get like 32 wins like last year, which just seems like at worst they would do that going forward. You're looking at like the 7th or 8th seed. You're not looking at much worse than that.
Right.
So but you can still get a really good player, but you have to be good at drafting.
I want Doncic.
Yeah, but I would also just say like let's just start developing these guys. Let's find out what Dotson like. Give Dotson some minutes. Like give Ntilikina a bunch more minutes. I'm either on Ntilikina, give him a bunch more minutes, or let him play in the D League a little bit and like get some like real burn.
Right. Yeah, this 15-minute crap is not working.
Hernan Gomez, I don't know what to do about Hernan Gomez, and I almost like would trade him when he has some value like still there.
Yeah. You know the Lakers are looking to trade Jordan Clarkson.
Are they?
Yeah.
Be Hernan Clarkson for Hernan Gomez? You do that?
In a heartbeat.
Let's go to questions.
All right. So this is an email from Christopher. Lance Thomas has 0 points in 30 minutes again. If the Knicks want to play a dude with fists for hands and cement blocks for feet, play Noah. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking during the was the Bulls game where they none of the centers could guard anyone. I was like, why don't you just throw Noah out there? Like, how much worse could he be? Could he playing defense than Cantor or O'Quinn?
No, Noah.
I we have him for the next 2 years, no matter what.
Yeah, stop reminding me.
The thing is, I feel like if you have a guy signed, like the only argument I can see with Lance Thomas is he signed for how many more? I think Thomas has another year at least.
Yeah.
So you have him anyway. Find a role for the guys that you have on the roster, and it's amazing. The Knicks have like $40 million invested in the center position, and $40 million cannot guard a single player.
I know.
It is unreal, and I know Kyle O'Quinn gets some blocks, but O'Quinn's defense is pretty bad. The guy, everyone just drives to the paint, and no one worries about Cantor or O'Quinn there. It's only KP that gives anyone any caution coming in. The only things that Cantor and O'Quinn can do is you're playing one-on-one, they're okay, and Kyle O'Quinn can kind of come up and if he can get some blocks, but it's the blocks are almost overrated when you look at O'Quinn because he's not that good on defense. Do you think O'Quinn's a good defender?
He's a good blocker. I don't know about an overall defender. I mean, he's an excellent blocker.
He's a good help blocker. Like, he can help on defense sometimes and get a really good block, and you're impressed by it. But he doesn't do much else on defense.
I mean, he's not great on defense, but he's not horrible.
But you watch the games. How is the paint this open when O'Quinn's there and Cantor's there? How is the paint so open? How does every team just drive at will against the Knicks?
Well, if they're not doing that, then they're taking wide open threes.
Yeah.
Angel writes.
I was watching. Hang on, just 1 second. There was one player I remember. I think it was actually Timmy Hardaway did rip him on his game, the Minnesota game. He was I forget who he was guarding. He just left his player to take a swipe at the ball. Takes the swipe at the ball, and they pass to the guy he was covering, and the guy scores. And there's play after play like that where whoever it is, Jarrett Jack will just walk off the guy he's covering on the 3-point line to try to double some guy where he just takes a swipe, misses, and then his guy's open.
Yeah. Fundamentals.
They basically, it's like they all know they're terrible on defense, so they try to overcompensate, and their overcompensation is horrible because they just double and switch on everything. Forgetting the switching, it's just too many double teams. Stay on your players. Stay on your guys. I mean, okay, go on. It's just so frustrating how you I'm like, how good would the Knicks look against the Knicks defense? Maybe KP would be dominating. You can play against the Knicks defense every night. It's how are guys so open on every play? Okay,
maybe it's their strategy. It's the rope-a-dope. You tire the other team out. Angel writes, why do the refs wear what looks like microphones during the game? Also, what are those little black boxes they have on their waist? I see that they press a button on it when they have a player inbound the ball.
I think the black boxes are if the ref is playing and LeBron James runs into him full speed and he evaporates, the black box will keep the record.
I mean, they do talk to Albany once in a while, right? They have live. They have live reviewers in Albany.
They do, but they don't talk to him while they're on the court, do they?
Well, I mean, I think those little black boxes are there for when they need to talk to them. They can't put the equipment on and off.
Fair. Well, is there anything to do with the shot clock? There's nothing to do with the shot clock, right? Pressing those buttons.
I don't think so. I think the shot clock is manned by somebody else.
Okay.
It would make sense if they pushed a button to do it, but I feel like the shot clock is a separate.
I think you're right. I don't know. I get.
It's not like football where they have to tell the crowd what the call was, which would make more sense.
Maybe they press the button where they're going to make bizarre foul calls and they turn it off when they're not going to make bizarre foul calls.
I mean, I think it's talking to Albany.
I have to say, I don't really understand NBA refereeing. If you trying to explain to someone what's a foul, what's not a foul, it almost makes it's the most absurd of any sport.
Yeah.
Football, you could say there's a holding play on every play. They say there's always a penalty on every play. And I understand football. There's it's just a contact sport, and there's things they don't always call. But the NBA, there was 2 plays in the Bulls game. Ntilikina, I felt got taken out of the game because he tried to play like tight defense, and they call foul after foul on him. And then you see the Bulls do the exact same thing, and they don't call the foul.
Yeah. It's really a subjective sport, and there is star calls no matter how much the NBA denies it.
I don't understand. If a guy's driving to the basket and you're giving them like, especially like it's just tight defense, and the guy kind of makes contact with you, it shouldn't necessarily be it just ruins the game when they call so many fouls.
Yeah.
I'm always against the foul. Go on.
Matt emailed us. He's from Australia, and he's looking for a Beasley jersey. I looked. There is no home Beasley jersey.
Oh.
I checked the NBA store. I checked the Knicks own store.
You say home. Was there an away jersey?
I saw a blue Beasley jersey, but I'm not sure if it was like an authentic one.
Oh.
But there's definitely no white Beasley jersey, which is, you'd think you'd at least make one for everyone on your team.
Yeah, like you would just like you assume like there's.
And my thing just stopped recording. It's back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see not making a lot of them, but
Well, can't they like? Isn't there like a custom made jersey where like you can order and they can make whatever name you want?
yeah, you could do a custom made one, but
That's expensive.
Well, one, it's expensive, and two, you kind of want like an authentic, official jersey, not like, some guy made a cafe press version of it.
I have to say I don't really care that much. Honestly,
but
people do. But like, the whole like I need a professional jersey. I'm not playing in the NBA. Why do I need a professional jersey? I just want something that says the Knicks.
Okay.
I think the whole like an imitation jersey's fine. You're not playing in the goddamn game. The Knicks aren't gonna like accidentally call you in the game. You don't need a professional jersey. And why do teams need 5 different jerseys every year?
To sell the alt versions too.
Oh God! Like it
Although
just
I kind of like the Knicks' new FDNY one.
Actually, I also, you know what I don't really mind is the Squarespace advertisement. I thought I'd find that more annoying. I don't really find like their logo is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's not bad at all.
No, though I do kind of want to see them have like a giant thing that says Wonder Bread on their shirt jersey. What else you got?
That's it for emails.
We got Twitter and Facebook. You want Twitter or Facebook first?
Let's do Facebook.
Okay. Gilliam writes, predictions for trades before the deadline, Knicks or any team. Let's talk Knicks first. I think the Knicks are going to just dump. I bet Kyle O'Quinn at the end of the day goes for like a second round pick, or maybe 2 second-round picks. But the problem is, I think the only teams that would want him are a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they'll probably get 2 second-round picks and call it a day on him. I don't think you're going to get a high first-round pick. Maybe you find a guy that's not getting a bunch of minutes, the guy's buried on someone else's bench, and they'll give it to him. I don't know who it'll be, but I think that trade happening. I don't see much else happening. Do you think?
No, I don't see much else happening either.
I don't think they'll like. I can see the idea of trading Hernan Gomez, but I don't think they'll get the value they want. So they just keep him.
Porzingis from Markkanen.
Oh, you're calling it right now? Well, I mean, in fairness, Porzingis is a lot better on defense than Markkanen.
Yeah, but Markkanen's younger. He can figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think PKP's defense is pretty darn good, at least around the rim. It's weird because around the rim, he's great on defense. If you're 15 feet from the basket, Porzingis cannot guard you for the life of him.
Right.
But I wouldn't make that trade, but I can see the argument for that.
Which is crazy.
Like, Markkanen's a damn good shooter. It also makes you wonder, like the New Orleans game, like they had KP shoot 10 threes. Maybe this is the new, like they're going to work on this a lot more threes now.
Maybe.
I don't mind. Let's see how it goes. I mean, KP made 4 threes, like 4 for 10 from 3-point land. That sounds pretty good to me. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I mean, the Knicks were 12 for 34 from 3, and I know they lost the game. They scored 118 points. But they shot 35% from 3. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going back to Facebook. Actually, any predictions for the league?
I think either Portis or Miritek gets traded. You can't have those two.
Well, they say every time we watch the Knicks play the Bulls, all Clyde wants to talk about is the fact that those trade's going to happen.
It's got to. It's got to. Not only the fact that one of them broke the other one's face. There's a logjam on that team, just like the Knicks. Like they have too many players that play that position.
Well, supposedly also Miritek just said, "Trade me. I don't want to be on the team anymore."
I would too. If one of my teammates broke my face, I'd be like, "Yeah, how about you just not have me on this team?"
Yeah. I'm not going to play on this team anymore. I say the Cavs get fearful and trade the Brooklyn pick.
Which I still think they'll pull it together before the playoffs. They seem to always do.
They're the worst team in the NBA in defense right now.
I know. I love it.
But that's really, really bad.
Yeah.
Can you pull that together?
Well, they have 3 of the worst defensive point guards in the league all on the team. I mean, Calderon, Rose, and Thomas are all just so bad.
No, they're all really bad. And is Rose playing anymore? Is he coming? Is he back? Or?
I think he's still rehabbing his ankle.
Oh, so he's never going to play again. Whether it be, I said to you off the show, I said maybe just trade the Brooklyn pick for Miritek. I don't know. They need someone else that can be a difference maker. They need more. Declan writes, are the Knicks really building a young team if they start Jarrett Jack, Courtney Lee, and Lance Thomas every night?
That is a very excellent point.
That is a really, really... And so we didn't talk about Courtney Lee, and I really like Courtney Lee, but he is 32.
Yeah. But he's one of the best guys on the team.
I don't want to trade Courtney Lee because I like a lot of what he does, but is there an argument that you should cutting his minutes some for in favor of some younger guys?
You need some veteran presence out there. I want to see most of the young guys play, but you need at least one guy with experience out there.
I was listening. Some other show was talking about Courtney Lee, and before they said Timmy Hardaway came back, they were like, Courtney Lee is really the Knicks' only playmaker. Only guy that can take the ball off the dribble and really get other guys involved. And it's Timmy also is, because you add Timmy, but there aren't too many guys in this team that can really do that. And Courtney Lee brings it on defense. You feel like he'd be a good veteran for guys to learn from. It's hard to trade him, but the other two guys Lance and Jack really should not be playing a lot of minutes.
Right.
Ralph writes, lots of cats are asking for Hornacek to be fired. Discuss. Jay, if you had to decide today, Hornacek wants a 3-year extension, or he's gone, would you give it to him?
It's so tough. I don't think he's doing a horrible job. And
let's do a little debate here, Jay. You want fire or keep?
I'll do keep.
Okay. I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. And I took 2 minutes to get the 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to say fire, and we should go. The lineups his rotations are ridiculous. He's playing all the veterans. He just cares about winning, which is great. But we need to develop players. He's not a guy that's going to really take us to anywhere.
We thought this would be one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and they're actually in the upper half. They are 4th in opponent field goal percentage.
Right, but that's partly due to the fact that 3-point shots made are just a lower percentage shot. So when the Knicks are we held them to 40% on the game, it's really it's mostly because of the 3-point shots. If the team shoots 40% from 3, it's still a bad performance on D. I think that a lot of that's weighted towards the fact that we just give up a lot of threes. You don't think of that at all? The field goal percentage thing? How do you keep losing the games and you're doing such a great job on defense?
Well, their offense is a complete mess.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, with this team is such a mess. We keep going with coaches that are rookies or just really don't have a grasp. They don't have a lot of experience. Wouldn't it be great for this team to have a veteran presence on coaching who's just seen a lot in his 10 years of coaching and could really make this team gel better?
Yeah, so then my argument would be Who are you looking at that's so much better than Hornacek?
I don't have a name in mind. I'm just saying anybody could be better if he had experience. I don't have anyone in mind in particular, but like getting a guy with some real experience would be helpful. Who could maybe figure this stuff out faster than Hornacek, who could adjust a bit faster than Hornacek. It seems like Hornacek is really learning as he goes along, which can hurt the team when the whole team is learning as they go along.
I mean, to see another coach, it's like every year we have a new coach.
I mean, why do you like stability?
I don't know if I like it. I've never seen it.
Oh my god. Also, like the team is last in guarding the 3-point line. They're last in shooting threes. They're just not getting it what the league is doing.
I don't know if that's Hornacek's fault though. This is a weird roster.
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking this guy to coach with like the weirdest roster.
It's 2 minutes. I kind of go with my biggest argument for Hornacek is that they're playing better than you expected, and the even bigger argument to me is the stability aspect. Like at some point, it probably makes sense to stick with a coach for a couple of years and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like the roster, like you have guys that don't want to shoot. Like you have guys that that can't play defense. It's a tough roster just to suddenly like become It's tough to be a piece of shit basically for the last 3 years and suddenly be a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, Frank writes, starting to look like last year's team. Just watched the game against the Pelicans. What the F? What needs to change? What kind of additions does this team need to make by trade deadline so that it isn't another lost season because it sure feels like it's slipping?
The thing is, we don't have a ton of assets that anybody wants.
I feel like the worst nightmare for this team is to try to make a move to like compete for this year.
Yeah.
Your moves to compete would be like telling everyone to play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like people are lining up for the Knicks players.
No one's lining for the Knicks players. Anyone we're gonna have to try to get, we're gonna overpay because that's what the deadline's all about. And we're not going like if we get like whoever we get, if we got like a Tony Allen type of defensive stopper and he adds to the team and we get to the 8th seed, well, we've given up a first round pick or something for him, and we've gotten to an 8th seed. We got swept in the first round.
Yeah.
That stuff's over. I don't know. It's just yeah. But it does seem like last season though again, right?
A little bit.
I feel like the Knicks will not be as bad as last season. They'll play better at some point. I just don't know when. Lee writes 2 questions today. How would this year's team go playing under Coach Woodson's 2012 system? So, and we're going to assume by that he means the part of the season that looked good. So, like, ton of 3-point shooting, double point guard play, and I guess all the switching. But the team switches right now anyway.
Yeah.
But a lot more small ball. So a lot more.
That's a good question. It might actually look better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the idea of like having an experienced coach is that he might. But then Woodson, of course, if he was here, would be like starting Cantor at like point guard.
Yeah, we'd have like a Cantor, Noah, O'Quinn lineup.
Yeah, that would be yeah, because I felt like even that season, like Woodson, like immediately when Amari came back, he went back to like what he was doing before.
Yeah.
And the second question, with all the talk about trading Willie and Sessions, who would you go for realistically? I feel like Clarkson from LA would be a good pickup. Would you trade
like Clarkson? I do.
So you trade Willie for Clarkson?
Yeah.
Yeah. He would also like we have the logjam in the center. He would give us. He's a guy we need more offense.
I mean, I think Clarkson's bad on defense, but who isn't on this team?
Yeah. Well, is there a point for trading for like another guy's bad at defense? Like, why not just give more minutes to Dotson? He's supposed to be good on defense.
I mean, if we have more cohesive offense, maybe he'll get the ball moving or at least get some outside shooting going.
Yeah, that's fair too. Matt writes, with the Knicks being able to keep Beasley, will the Knicks be able to keep Beasley? He's a walking bucket. Love watching him do his thing. Should be starting. Thoughts? Thanks, Marc and Jay.
I kind of hope they do.
I really? Well, what lineup would you start?
No, I mean, I kind of hope they keep him.
Oh yeah. I kind of hope they keep him also. I feel like maybe with some stability he might be better.
He should be like a super sixth man.
Yeah, I really do think that he has that ability. Yeah. The
Are you going somewhere with this?
No, I'm not going anywhere with this. I was like the starting thing. I just don't think makes sense because I don't think having Cantor, KP, and Beasley out there at the same time it's just a disaster on defense.
Yeah, well, that and it doesn't look like Porzingis really likes sharing the ball with Beasley.
I think it's a disaster. It's a disaster on offense too.
Yeah,
Like you can't have too many guys that are going to be more ISO post up players because
yeah,
Cantor wants to post up, Beasley understandably wants to post up, and KP wants to post up. The ball's not going to move a lot.
yep.
Yeah, I love the idea of him being your super like six man. I feel like I don't know why his career from here, Beasley, whether he's a Knick or wherever he is, he should be a really like a big minute six man somewhere.
Yeah.
His scoring is just too good. I mean, assuming he doesn't go back to like stupid his whatever. Okay, we have Twitter questions now. Keith writes, only a couple of quick Twitter questions. Do you guys think that this Trey Burke signing will even become a situation? Meaning, I really don't want the Knicks to do Jimmer Fredette him.
I mean, I think this is another like injury insurance situation.
But why even do it then? Like, why not? The team is going nowhere. Why not take a spin? A guy like the guy, he's one of the best players in the G League right now. Give him a shot. Why pretend you know who he is at 25? Like, why not like give him some spins? See what happens. Like, why don't the Knicks do this?
Why don't the Knicks do anything? I don't know. They're a completely inexplicable team.
The thing is, Jimmer Fredette, he's not an NBA player. I get that, but it's just like this guy. It could be just fool's gold with the whole like G League play. I don't think he'll be a star here, but I mean, if your team, you could figure out an offense, a future where Ntilikina is your starter and Trey Burke's your guy off the bench. Like that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be really terrible, but like in theory, if they could actually play. Nick Keith also writes, I really think Dennis Smith Jr. might have been a better choice at this point in time, I feel. What do you think about that?
I don't know about Dennis Smith. I mean, he's supposed to be terrible on defense, and he can score, but I don't know. He's shown flashes, but I haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh, I really, really wish we had that guy.
I mean, it's also to a certain extent we kind of want to move past. Donovan Mitchell seems like he'd be a better choice, also.
Right.
He's playing pretty well. Maybe we should just move beyond the whole who we should have taken. We have who we have. And just move on.
I mean, it's easy to say now, but if one of those guys makes an all-star team and Frank never does anything, it's going to be really tough to ignore that.
Yeah, no, it's true. The thing is, Ntilikina looks like you could see like at times why they drafted him because he has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just a kid right now. I don't want to snap the judgment yet. I'm worried. I will say I'm worried, but
people say it. Like, here's the thing. Like, they say on the one hand, like he's 19, but most players that are successful at point guard in the NBA are beyond where he is at the 19 on offense. But most of the guys aren't as good as he is on defense.
Yeah.
So it's maybe part of it also like we should stop discounting the defensive end of the floor and just like bear with his offensive like development.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Keith writes, another overtime game. This team is losing its dominance at home right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least earlier in the season, they were winning all the home games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything to say to that. That's right. Jorge writes, should we try and pursue Paul George? We need a small forward badly. Who would you want? Hashtag feels like a washed season.
I mean, as good as Paul George is, he's, 28 now?
Yeah.
I mean...
First of all, Paul George is not going to come here, so let's just... That part of it...
That's true, too.
And OKC's playing a lot better now, but he's still a low efficiency player right now. He's not a high efficiency scorer which we don't need another low efficiency scorer in this team.
Well, it's not only that. He's going to get a max contract. So, like, that's the team. You get Paul George.
That's the team.
That's the team for, like, the next 4 years. And is that going to do it?
Well, you know what? Actually, why this is even a more pointless conversation? Knicks don't have money to max him. The money's not there. It's just not. We have Noah and Timmy. We committed to them. The money's just not like we can't make up cap space we don't have. So
right.
Cody writes, "How worried are you about KP slump?"
Extremely.
When do you stop calling it KP slump and just call it KP season?
No.
I mean, like it just seems like the part where he was good becomes a much smaller part of the season. And
yeah.
Bisquick writes, "What type of role do you see Trey Burke in?"
Not much of one.
That was the old Knicks. Do you think the new Knicks, obviously it's a different GM, different coach. I mean, or a coach that actually has the free will to do what he wants.
No, he's like a fringe NBA player again.
I mean, in some ways, I feel like some of it should solve itself because like guys will be injured, like Jarrett Jack will be injured at some point, and so and if Jarrett Jack gets injured, you give his minutes. Forgetting the part that like Ntilikina plays, you give the minutes to Ron Baker, or just like say Trey Burke, you play.
Hey, you give Trey Burke a shot. Why not?
I mean, Ron Baker has proven whatever you want to say. Ron Baker's young, also. He's not a point guard in the NBA.
Right.
Here's a question for you: how many guys in the Knicks team do you think, if they were cut now, would never get back in the NBA? I'm going to go through this roster real quick. I'm going to say, obviously KP, Lance Thomas, someone would pick him up, right?
Yeah.
Let's see who the fringe guys here are. Beasley, obviously, we picked up. McDermott, we picked up. Quinn, we picked up. Ntilikina, we picked up. Noah?
No.
You think he's if Knicks contract's
I think we
over, he's out of the
gave
NBA?
an almost max contract to a guy that no other team would even consider picking up.
No one would give. Well, Thibodeau would probably give him a roster spot for old time's sake.
I don't know.
If you included the idea of playing more than 5 minutes a game, then no. I don't think Noah can get 5 minutes a game from anyone right now.
No.
Burke, arguably would not be in the. Arguably, no one's signing him besides the Knicks. So
right.
Maybe someone would have. It's just Baker, really. Baker's the guy that he's our player that, as much as we love Baker, probably would not be in the NBA if not for the Knicks charity.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue McDermott's only gotten one or two more chances left too.
He still has some chance. He's 25. He'll play till he's 30. He does enough off the bench that like people will give him chances. It just doesn't do enough that like it's not enough for what the Knicks need. Yeah. And I don't mind. Like I like Baker's effort. I just don't think he's a frustrating one. He's just our like every year we have a player like this.
Every year we have like four players like this.
Langston Galloway or who's the one that Toronto signed for gave an outrageous contract to?
Landry Fields.
He's our Landry Fields.
Yeah.
Waleed writes, how much of KP's slump is from bad coaching versus lack of chemistry versus he's asking about the whole team. How much of this slump is from bad coaching versus lack of chemistry versus bad in-game attitude versus lack of player skills?
I think
if you had let's say we have 4 things here. If you had to rank them, Jay, bad coaching, lack of chemistry, bad in-game attitude, or lack of player skills, what do you put number 1 on this list?
Lack of skills.
Yeah, I agree with that. Number 2, coaching, chemistry, in-game attitude.
Chemistry.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now coaching versus bad in-game attitude.
Coaching.
Yeah, I think the attitude's not. I always hate when they talk about effort already, also, because the effort thing is just like such a bland, fake term at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Osiri809 writes, last question. Why do you still support this team?
Habit. Masochism. The fact that if they actually did win all these years of suffering would would make the win that much better.
Jay, if we weren't doing the podcast anymore, or we just never did the podcast, let's say we just, in an alternative universe, we never did a podcast, how much would you be watching the Knicks this year?
I'd watch like one game like every 2 weeks.
I mean, I think I'd be watching more at the beginning of the year like I have been, but I'd stop. I would not be watching as much as I am now. Like, I would just be losing interest.
Yeah. Like our listeners. I've seen our download numbers. You lose 10 out of 13 games, and you lose 1,000 listeners.
Just wait. That when the Knicks win the title, we will get like it'll be amazing. We'll all have earned this together. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that last week we did an episode called January Optimism, and that seems like a month ago.
Yeah. Okay, let me give you. I didn't learn anything today. Let's just look at the predictions. This week we have coming up full schedule. Why did I bring that up the first time? Okay, we have. It looks like we got a game tomorrow. We got 4 games before next show, and this could be a better week. We got Brooklyn tomorrow at 3. Then we got Memphis, Utah, and the Lakers. What do you think?
That could be a 4-0 week.
Utah's a tough one.
No Gobert.
Yeah, I mean they beat them. I think didn't the Knicks beat Gobert last time? I mean, they beat the Utah without Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't remember if they did or not. I think they did. Yeah, this could be a good week.
If they tank this week, then next week I might just be full in on tank mode.
I mean, you feel like they should. I mean, I would say the pessimist in me has them at 2-2. Optimist is 3-1. 4-0 just sounds like a stretch from how they're playing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they are all road games too, right? Or 3 out of 4.
Yeah, all 4. But Brooklyn's really a home game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if they lose like all 3 out of 4 of these, like let's just go for the draft pick.
You know what's also it just drives me crazy? It's going to a Knicks game. Like, if you look at like a random game, like they're playing the Hawks in Atlanta. I'm sorry, they're playing the Hawks in February at home, and they say like they have next to the ESPN thing the ticket. Like they have tickets starting from $76. You're like, great. Team's mediocre, and like it's going to cost me like probably $100 a ticket to go to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like the at Memphis game, it says the tickets start at $2.
So unfair.
It might be cheaper for me to fly to Memphis to go to the game there.
That's like everything in New York, though.
It's just really ridiculous. Like, the one thing I like, the pre-Amari era, the one thing I liked about the pre-Amari era was tickets were like a joke. They were so cheap.
Yeah, $10 tickets night of.
Yeah, exactly. It was like no one like it was like these. You go on StubHub, and you're like, it would like the fees would be more than the actual ticket cost.
I mean, I would just walk into the stadium like 5 minutes before the game and get $10 tickets.
It was great.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're done with the show, Jay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.